Okay, I'd like to call this Finance Committee meeting to order. We may stop when Jim gets here for a couple minutes because he needs to get his picture taken. So we apologize for that. First one, we have assignment for request for council action. We have a bunch of them for finance, 13-230, amending ordinance 152-13, 751 Wadsworth Road property, 13-231, budget amendments, 13-232, authorizing payment over $3,000 for repair and asphalt, 13-233, adopt CDBG citizen participation plan, 13-234, renewal public defender contract, 13-235, requests for qualifications, CDBG CHIP grant consultant, 13-236, amending salaries and benefit code 3111 regarding holiday pay, 13-237, design discussion, Ryan Road reconstruction, job number 862, 13-238, budget amendment, employee hospitalization adjustment, and 13-239, amending ordinance 154-13, and approve agreement with OHM Advisors Downtown Strategic Plan. The first item we have is item 13-230, amending ordinance 152-13, 751 Wadsworth Road property. Keith?
You recall when we discussed this, we purchased the property, I think the price was 90, and then we needed extra to cover other expenditures. I asked for 100, we cut it back to 98, that was $169 short. Mr. Huber had to advance the $169, so I'd like this approved so we can get him repaid. This is for the purchase of the property on 57.
Move to approve.
Second.
Mark, anything?
I hope we support that because there was a lot of hard work and
I don't know.
commitment with this, so it's $169. And he paid out of pocket, so we gotta
And I'm going to amend my motion to include the emergency clause.
second with the emergency clause.
Any further discussion?
Is there a receipt?
Huber, we can submit that. All in favor with the emergency clause?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next item is 13-231, budget amendments. We have finance for 2013 OCTD playground structure, Fred Greenwood Park.
We discussed this the other day, it's the Moms Group thing. Part of it is open space, which Jim isn't here, but that's Jim's ward's open space. And then part of it is the park maintenance land improvement, and this is repaying their refunds and getting, this is the mechanics behind getting that project done.
Okay,
Move to approve?
Second.
any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We're gonna finish these finances up, then Jim can get his picture taken, because we only have 3 of them. Finance 213-064, Lake Road reconstruction, phase 2. Is that Patrick?
It's his, this is the mechanics to get the project done.
So 149, what is this one? This is the,
It's 149,670, and the fourth one is 220,000. I had Patrick talk to Keith. We have over $400,000 in POs that we can cancel and cover this without a new appropriation. I'd recommend the council do that rather than appropriate new money.
when you say we have 400,000, is that from like old projects that?
Projects that are completed and the money's left over.
So, and this was, we're just appropriating new money or the money we have, and if we cancel those, we don't have to appropriate any new money?
We don't have to do the 13-231 or the 13, well, I guess they're both the same number.
Those are POs that we close.
It's 64, 61, and 65? No,
64 and 65?
It's 64 and 65.
64 and 65.
Do you have that list of POs?
Yeah, I got it right here.
No, 'cause
I don't
that,
think that this is gonna work, because all of these are 2011 and 2012 POs. When you close prior year POs, the money doesn't go back on the appropriated line, it returns to unappropriated funds. We still need the appropriation. Closing the POs is something we need to do, but it's not gonna cover this.
well, I guess the one thing that I brought up, and I asked the mayor and I asked Keith to get the old POs, I think we should do this yearly.
We do.
Just to,
My department every year sends out to all the department heads a list of the POs they have. What we do is we tell them, for the ones from 12 and prior, we tell them, we will close these if you don't tell us to keep them. For the ones from the current year, we tell them we'll leave it open unless you tell us to close it.
but you just, do we want to keep we had a 2011, you just said.
These are from 11, but when we do this yearly at the end of the year. The last time you had a year end to do this was 12, and the project was not yet completely off the books.
Well, I guess then
So
maybe,
if we close that PO, why does it not go back into the money that's available?
It goes back into the money that's available for appropriations. It doesn't go back into appropriated funds because it's a prior year PO. Current year POs go back onto appropriated funds. Prior year POs just go back into cash available for appropriation.
so it doesn't increase the amount that's encumbered anymore.
It
It
gets rid
takes
of
it
the
off the
encumbrance,
encumbrance.
but it doesn't add to
We're gonna get back
appropriation.
$413,000, and then you're gonna reappropriate $369. And if that's the only way to do it, then it makes sense. But these POs were requested to be closed 2 weeks ago.
Well, I think we gotta do this, and we should do it mid-year too, not just end of the year, because there's projects finished all the time, I would
Right,
imagine.
right.
And depending on the size of the project and the size of the savings, that could be significant or not. I guess maybe we focus on the significant ones, to see, you know, if it's gonna happen, because I guess you know the answer to the question partially when the bid is awarded, and then if there's any change orders, of course.
But
you know that-
when the bid is awarded, we keep a best bidder purchase order, and that is used for any change orders during the project. Now, when the project is closed, and every department head with any purchase order, whether it's one of these that's a large dollar amount, or council's buying a chair, okay? Every department head, when they send that PO over for payment, can mark it as final, and we close the purchase order. If they don't mark it as final, the purchase order, whatever's left on it, stays open, okay? At the end of the year, we give them that list. I guess I'm trying to figure out what you're trying to accomplish here, because doing this twice a year instead of once a year, it doesn't get us anywhere. It's not like this is money that falls out of the sky and we
Oh,
have it.
no,
now.
no, I think what I would,
It's,
my goal to accomplish would be to know exactly what we have, because if it's on your list that you give us, and the numbers that we see for revenues and expenses, once it's appropriated, it's assumed to be an expense, which is, we know, not all the money appropriated is expended in a year.
Right.
So I just want to get more towards knowing what the exact amount of money we have available would be. And we know at the end of each year, every department, they have a little bit of carry forward, some have more, and it could add up to $1 million, $2 million. So really, we're not spending the $2 million that we thought we would have spent at the beginning of the year, where we have that money available if we want to say no, or if we want to do whatever we want to do to go back into the fund. I'm just trying to get a handle on, when I asked you for the POs, what's out there? Because I noticed one from 2007 from a GIS that we were going to do, we never did. It's only $34,000, but it's 6 years old. And it's money, but we can't say it's money available for us to encumber or appropriate for any other purpose.
The department heads are all reviewing the
Right.
older ones.
So we'll look at those too, but the goal is just to get a better handle on, once we do this appropriate, what projects came under budget. You know, maybe it's more just a meeting to talk about that, rather than doing a separate account, I don't know, but just so we get a better feel for where we're going with that.
So at this time, I'll make a motion to accept 201-3060 for Lake Road Reconstruction Phase 2 for that amount. Is that correct?
And is it with the emergency clause? No, they don't have to do
not on appropriations.
Second.
that. Any further comment or
Forgot you were
discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. So 2013-061 cemetery wreath purchase. This is just a donation. Anybody have any questions?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. And 2013-065, these are the engineering services, ones we just talked about.
Move to approve.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed. We're gonna take a short little recess here, so Jim can get his picture, so there's no one can go home. Okay, resuming the finance committee meeting, we have 13-232, authorizing a payment greater than $3,000. Keith?
Project was completed some time ago and needs approval to be paid because it didn't have PO before it was done.
Move to approve
Second?
with the emergency clause.
And second includes the emergency clause?
Any further comment or discussion?
Which project was this on?
This is the Karen Asphalt, we'll say.
Yeah, but which project was it for?
Wasn't it splash pad?
Splash
Splash
pad.
pad.
Yeah, remellow.
The Parks Department wants some extra sidewalks out there near the gazebo, the pavilion, and the splash pad and around the building. So they asked us to coordinate that work. It was separate from the splash pad.
Other questions?
Thank you.
We had a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item number 5, 13233, adopting CDBG citizen participation plan. Sandy, you here?
The state of Ohio requires that we do our citizens participation plan. We do the citizens meetings every year, our public meeting number 1 and number 2, which I'm sure you're all aware of. They require that it be adopted formally, so that's what this is.
Questions?
Move to approve.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item number 6, 13232, renew of 2014 public defender contract. Mr. Hubert.
The public defender requires that we enter into this agreement every year. Actually, it's a state requirement. And as a consequence, it's in front of you, it's the same contract we've had for the last 2 years since that rule started to be enforced.
Okay.
Move to approve with the emergency clause.
Second, including emergency clause?
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. 13235, RFQs for CDBG CHIP grant consultant services. Sandy?
This is a new round of funding that's coming available for the CHIP program, and the city's going to apply. Part of the process is we need to put out the RFP for consultants to make to do the public meetings and make the application and administer the grant.
And then when we discuss in the public meetings of the allocation of the, I mean, there's percentages based upon the CDBG funding, but then we make a determination of where to allocate the funds to what type of projects that are covered by CDBG.
That's part of the public participation process, and whatever consultant is awarded the consulting
Mhm.
job portion of it, they would conduct those meetings, which is the Housing Advisory Committee meeting that makes suggestions for what projects.
So anybody in council has any special interest in a particular project that qualifies under CDBG, let the housing or Sandy or the consultant know what your concerns are and where you want to allocate it. I know some of it goes to public transit every year and goes to other various items.
I think the only thing we discussed before, and I don't know if it was this grant or not, about the cameras, Mayor. We were gonna apply for, see if we could use
Right.
for the cameras at a couple of the parks and maybe the parking deck for.
Well, actually, security cameras were put on the 2010 grant for Ray Mellor Park. And those funds were diverted into the splash pad with the understanding, the state agreed that we would put them into our next round of funding for our CDBG grant.
Thank you.
So that will be for Ray Mellor. So it is in the it's in the 2013 grant, which was approved and awarded, and so that project will go through in 2014. It should be installed.
Thank you.
Move to approve with the emergency clause.
Second, including emergency clause?
Any further questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next item we have is 13236, amending salaries and benefits code section 3111 regarding holiday pay. Fair?
Yes, sir. Currently, it reads that they have to work, the employees have to work the day before and the day after the holiday, or the day of the holiday if it's a department that works holidays, unless otherwise granted by the department head. And for consistency, we've tried to maintain that there isn't discretion. You have to work the day before and after the holiday. But every once in a while, it falls through the cracks and somebody tells somebody it's okay to take the day off for a medical issue or some other issue that I would rather have the appointing authority make that determination, so I'm asking you to change that so there's consistency.
So you're asking to provide it unless otherwise granted by the appointing authority would make the determination of whether or not the holiday pay is given, or are you saying take that out so it's automatic?
No, I'm saying that it's the appointing authority's discretion, not the department head's discretion.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah.
Can
Yes,
you give an
sir.
example of an appointing authority?
Me.
You?
Me and Nino.
Well, I guess the other question is, so you want that flexibility, so you don't want to make it automatic that you have to work no matter what? And that's where I thought you were going, where you had
No,
a...
actually, it's the reverse. I mandate that they have to work the day before, the day after, but we run into a couple things where somebody's approached the department head and got approval to be off the day before or the day after the holiday, and one, we've not approved it for other people. So, but I can't have consistency if I've got all the department heads making the decision instead of the appointing authority making the decision.
Understood, but I thought maybe you were saying that not even you, the appointing authority, make the decision, it's automatic. You have to work
No.
and then, now what about the union contracts? How do they address this issue? I can't recall. Or is there gonna be a conflict with that, you think, or no?
This is out of the salary and benefits code. I'd have to look at the.
And there's not, Mayor, if I may interject.
Okay.
With the Teamsters, there's not.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't wanna do an
And,
inconsistency
well, and the
between-
police chief is pretty consistent with enforcing it. And we have been historically, it's just every once in a while, one falls through the crack, and I didn't understand why it kept happening, and then when I looked at the code, it's because it's giving the discretion of the department head versus the appointing authority, so this minimizes that.
Anybody have any questions on that?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. 13-237, design discussion for Ryan Road reconstruction. Pat?
As council's aware, we've submitted in conjunction with Medina County an application for grant funds for the reconstruction of Ryan Road in 2015. The county is currently putting the plans together, and we need to let them know what we want to do about certain design issues. Appropriate was to bring it to council, get your input, specifically sidewalks, streetlights, and street trees. Sidewalks, just so you know, obviously it's a split jurisdiction. The whole eastern side is in the city. I think a third or so of the western side is in the city, and the other 2/3 are in the township. County will not be putting sidewalks on any township properties, just so you know. I asked them if they'd be interested in funding some of our sidewalks because of the benefits their residents will get, and they're not interested in that, so. It's up to us. I put a couple options out there. The lake on Ryan between Lafayette and,
Sturbridge?
Sturbridge.
yeah, it's $57,000. That's just for sidewalks on the east side. To do the city property on the west side is about $20,000. And just as an option, just to do the northern loop, which would be Ryan Road from Lafayette to Plymouth, would be $19,000.
But my personal opinion is I would do the east side, I mean, not necessarily, I mean, I understand the need for the west side, but it's, part of it's county owned, but you, at least you have one side of the street with a sidewalk on. We have that on Route 18, going out from State all the way out to the JVS or the Career Center. So,
Excuse me.
so I think the, I would do the one side. I don't think I'd spend the money on the other side. That's just my thought.
I agree.
That's where I'm at too, it's in my ward, so I would like to see sidewalks put in on that side at least.
From
Part
a
of the other
safety.
side though is in the city,
The entire east side would be from Sturbridge to
right?
Lafayette.
Yeah, but part of the other side is in the
Yeah.
city too.
Yeah.
So what would that look like if you put the sidewalks in on the other side? It would just be,
You'd just come to an end, yeah,
Yeah.
there, because there's only a few houses on the west side.
Like four
Yeah,
houses or
closest to the old Sandwich there.
Yeah, wouldn't look, that's why I would make sure the one side, at least there's an opportunity for the one side if somebody wanted to cross the street. Now, they do
Right.
have to cross the street, but
except they are residents.
understood, but then what you're doing is creating a partial sidewalk that's even going to create a bigger issue for people then going in, the neighbor's yard and everything, which is the county's property, of course, or they're in the county, but why would you want to cause that issue to arise where you have everything spilling off into people's yard? Because there's not going to be any defined boundaries of sidewalks or non-sidewalks, it's just going to be an open ditch, I would imagine, on that side.
Yeah, a lot of it's open ditch. It's not our typical street cross
Yeah.
section.
So I wouldn't want somebody to then try to get into the ditch.
It'll be similar to what the county did a few years ago on Foot Road, where the sidewalk's only on one side of the road. And I'm told that worked out well for them.
What about the other issue that you were talking about, the Plymouth only, 750 feet, how does that incorporate?
Well, that's, first of all, that would be included in the entire east side, if that's the direction we're going. It's
Right.
kind of a moot point. But we threw it out there as just another option. If that 57,000 was too much, this would get that northern loop, so to speak, done. It's basically just doing a part of the east side, not the whole thing.
It would just do from Lafayette to Plymouth, and not from Plymouth to Sturbridge.
Right.
That's the other number.
But the issue is, I think a lot of people, I don't know how many people come from Sturbridge going north up to Lafayette. but-
Well, right now, they're going both ways, because the students are walking down to Root School along Ryan Road with a very narrow berm. Obviously, this won't be done before the busing is going to return, but if we're faced with that situation again, it's also not unusual to have the residents come up and walk along Lafayette Road, or at least access the Dollar General that's there at the corner. So this would provide a safe place for them to walk.
So everybody for sidewalks is okay with the east side?
Yes.
Okay.
The entire east side?
Yep.
Okay. Next issue, there shouldn't be too complicated, streetlights. We do, obviously on residential streets, have our standard Colonial Post Top light. This is more of a rural, I'll say, street. Wanted to throw it out there, we had a couple options, just the standard Cobra headlights, a couple, $2,000 each. To put the decorative Colonial style lights, we did not get a formal proposal from Ohio Edison, but just based on discussion, they think it'll be about 50 to 60,000. They have to run primary and secondary electric to each of those lights.
Well, what is the answer to the question of the cost of the Cobra headlights? Well,
How
what is
many
it?
lights?
Yeah, I mean, it's 50 to 60,000 for the other ones. What is it for a Cobra? Half that?
The Cobra headlights?
Yeah.
Well, typically when you're doing those, you just do them at the intersections, like at Sturbridge. If we wanted to add more, it would be our discretion.
So it'll be
If we wanted.
4,000 compared
Plus
to 50.
insulation.
Actually, I think those lights are already there.
They are. I went by there today.
If we
But-
want to add more,
Is
they
that
do
enough
2,000
light?
each.
That's fine.
Well, I think,
And when you say intersections, Pat, though, but if you think about Plymouth and Blanet and West Park, Fargo, all of those, they have those Cobra, and they're not just at the intersections, they're all the way through the neighborhoods. I guess I'd at least like to see it consistent with those neighborhoods at that part of Ward 4 there.
Okay.
Still would be cheaper going with the Cobra than.
well, you get better light too, I'd imagine. They light better. The Cobra lights cover more area,
They
don't
do, yeah. Yeah, they're more.
So how many would that be?
How many would that be?
What's the light?
Half that, like 10 of them?
Yeah, I think that'd be plenty there. It's about 2,300 feet, I think, the whole length. And it's a right around 200-foot interval, I think, that you would need them to be effective.
So it'll be $20,000 compared to 50 or 60.
That's consistent with what the neighborhood is off of Ryan there.
Nino could give up more money if he wanted. No, is that, everybody okay there?
What would that cost us to operate then?
I don't have that. So we have an agreement with Edison where we pay them a couple bucks a month for maintenance and power for each light.
Couple bucks a month?
I think it's, do you remember, Nino? I think it's $3 or $4 per light per month.
And then the repairs.
Bill was asking for that agreement, they seem to have difficulty finding it.
Yeah, and there was there were some lights out, a light on Southport Street that was out for 2 years. And I know the mayor and Nino were trying to get it fixed, and it got fixed a few times, but then immediately went out again. And I got a hold of Ohio Edison, they told me it'd take 2 days to fix, and a couple weeks later it wasn't fixed, and I got a hold of them. And it appeared we had a contract that was a flat fee contract.
It was, Bill, it was the ESIP program, and that contract went away, and what they did is we sat down with Joe Figure, that contract hasn't been in execution for like 6 years now, so they've honored some prices, and they slowly have increased them based on kilowatt.
So we really don't have a contract.
So we really don't have a contract.
We do not have a contract. They operate under the ESIP off contract, basically.
So what do we pay per fit, per,
Been going up, we can break it
we
out.
pay per light or per?
We pay 4,030, we have 4,030 lights, we pay approximately 2,000 hours, kilowatt hours per light, whether they burn or not, per year. And the bottom line is, it's about 13,000 a month is what we're paying for those street lights. So you can break it out, I can tell you.
It's okay. Well, my concern about the lights was, because I think that, Jim's right, I think the streetlights, that's what, for what we're doing now, but it makes no sense if we're paying Ohio Edison per light for the kilowatt hours, and then we're paying them to repair them, but then they don't repair them and they leave them out. Then we're paying for a light that's not on, and we're paying them to fix a light that they don't fix. So I think we can work that, we're gonna work that out here.
And it averages about $3.23 per light
Right.
Should we have a contract?
per month.
Will they let us pay just the electric, and?
No, because they're not metered. That's why they're just
My point was, we're paying
standalone
a
lights
flat
and
fee
there's
for
no meter.
electricity that's going to a light that's out,
And
and
there's-
we're paying for fixing a light that isn't getting fixed.
And at any given time, there's probably a light out somewhere in the city.
Well, there's two more lights out on, one across from Farmers Exchange, another one on South Court Street. The one of them, by Farmers Exchange, has been out since the beginning of summer.
And it's difficult to monitor, because you'd have to go in and say, this date, the light's out of commission, document that, and then go back and then try to recoup that money, and it'd be a constant monitoring that we do not do. And instead of lights, that's where it's at, but we have to have. a
Right, but the
discussion.
best that we could do I think the best that we could do would be if they were consistent in their the time that they repair them when they're notified that they're out. That would not be, that's not a great thing to expect. I mean, that's not too much to expect.
Then Mr. Hubert's question might be appropriate there. Should we have a contract?
Should we have a contract?
That spells this out.
It says they have to
So
repair
if they
it in so
don't,
many
if they don't know,
days.
yeah, if they don't correct it in so many days, you just stop paying for that particular light.
Well, why did the old contract, was there a reason for it to stop?
It just went away, according to Joe Fagan, they just did away with the ESIP contract that was initiated years ago.
And didn't tell us?
Did away with it. No, they told us, they sat down with us and told us the contract's no longer valid, but you'll pay so much per kilowatt hour going forward.
2008 when it expired.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there's really no incentive, with this big discussion we had before, to go LEDs, because we still pay the same amount of money, and we're gonna save power to the power company, but we'd still pay the same amount.
What do we get a credit
Plus,
though? if-
plus it's their lights.
It's
So you can't
correct.
change
Right.
anything on
Right.
their
You can't
lights
put
without
LEDs
them
on their
saying
property.
it. So
But
it's-
they wouldn't encourage that.
No, someone approached the mayor years ago, and we tried to beg that, and
Yeah.
the gentleman was told it's Edison's Lights, we're not interested in it, we'll pioneer that when the time comes.
Yeah,
It's not here
There's
yet.
no incentive for them to do that, because you'd be paying them less.
Right.
Something like that.
Well, we'll keep working on it.
Well, what about the lights we have on Reagan Parkway? Where do those come into play compared to this? We own those lights.
Correct, those are the tall ones.
We own and maintain them,
Yes,
and just pay electric.
correct, they're not part of the 4,030, and those are metered,
So they're metered individually?
yes, well, collectively to a master.
Okay.
Would we want to do that here, or would that
Well,
be
that's
too
what-
much?
Would it save us more money in the long run if we did something like that on,
Ryan? Have the 10 lights metered, and just pay the meter charge for the 10 lights, and we own them?
and we put LED in there that don't cost?
I think it's an option. I guess we could look into it, but I don't think they were charging us that much more for whether we metered or not, were they? I thought it balanced out.
No, he's just saying that you could look at the LED option, and in the long term, you could save the city a lot of money by just owning them and putting LED lights and paying the electric bill yourself, because it's not gonna cost
I
you.
didn't understand it.
But this 2,000, Patrick, is Ohio Edison's lights, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so we would have to get a whole nother light price to put up our own lights, be it LED or not.
And it would probably be more money to put up your own lights
Yeah.
initially.
Yeah, because there's an incentive for them to use their lights.
Right.
That's what I say, long term.
I think what we don't know is, and we're gonna have to sit down with Joe Vega, is will they give us a price just for the electricity? 4,000 lights, what's the electricity, assuming they're working? And then we could take the service to a local contractor and get more timely response. And if not, if we can't break those two things, then we have to make a decision on what's in the best interest. But we're still trying to gather the data to present to you to balance the cost and benefit of each.
So I guess the answer to the lights would be, we like the Cobra headlights, but we don't know if we like Ohio Edison putting them in and us paying them. So if you get more information on that part of it, at least you know we don't want the decorative ones out there. Is that right? Okay, next.
Trees, I guess I just added this, they won't, typically not part of the project, we do it on our own. That would be my recommendation here, if we want trees for the roadway there. And I guess we need to, do we want them in front of every city residence, or one side, none?
Well, we don't want them blocking out the lights, but.
I agree.
I guess I don't know the answer to the question. I mean, you go down Ryan Road and it's more rural in nature.
Yeah, that's why I bring it to you, it's different than our.
It's not, you have a bigger front yards there and there's a ditch in the front. Now, that ditch isn't going away, correct?
Correct.
Where will the sidewalk go with the ditch then?
Well, that, we're replacing our water line here too, on the east side of the road. We're gonna have to purchase, I think, 13 property owners a 10-foot easement for the water line. Sidewalk will go within, not over the water line, but in that easement.
So the ditch, the road, the ditch, then the sidewalk?
No, ditch, road, sidewalk.
Yeah.
Ditch will be on
Road,
one side,
then
the
a
sidewalk
ditch.
will be on the other.
Yeah, then the sidewalk.
Okay.
So the trees would be on the other side of the sidewalk then, if you were gonna do it?
Probably, at least on that side of the road.
You could give people an option.
If they want a tree?
Well, we kind of give them an option anyway. People say they don't want a tree, we don't plant trees in tree lots.
I think we're gonna end up, there's gonna be a couple of trees that we're gonna have to take for the water line, so I think we're gonna end up replacing a couple already. This is just, do we want tree lawn trees?
I don't know, when you say tree lawn, I don't know if there is
That's
a
not
tree
really
lawn.
a tree lawn, place them.
Because you're putting them on inside of the sidewalk, when normally they're on the outside, meaning in the right of way closer to the
Right.
street. And here they'd be closer to the house. Which people may not want that. If you did anything, I would just give them the option, but I don't think I'd mandate it, because I don't think it's
You know,
really
we
that
can pull
necessary.
the sidewalks, we needed to know kinda in a hurry, so that's,
That's a
trees,
safety
we
issue.
got, 2015, we could poll the residents and kinda get some feedback from them.
I don't think I'd make it mandatory.
I'm okay with that, giving the option, especially if he's gonna change some anyhow, or have to replace some anyhow with the water line.
Is everybody okay with that? We'll figure, no mandatory requirement and see what it looks like, because it is
Yeah,
a different
that's-
situation.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Anything else?
No, thank you.
I don't think there's anything to vote on, that's a discussion item. 13-238, budget amendment. This is from finance, right?
We pay we talked about this a little bit at our budget meeting. We pay every year for 12 months worth of healthcare, but the 12 months that we pay for aren't the 12 months of this year, because we pay 1 month in advance. So the last month here in December, we're paying at 2014's rates. There was not enough money in the budget to cover the increase to the 2014 rate, so every line that has healthcare essentially needs an increase. We went through all the lines. Some people also have had changes during the year, and we didn't bring those to you at that time because we knew this was coming. So anybody that had a change during the year, and remember, we start our budgets, the 13 budget, we started early in 12, so if they were budgeting for, a person who was opt-out, then that person left, or if they're budgeting for a person who was single and then they got married or, changed over, you have some of those differences too, but this is the total increases that we need
This
on
is
all the healthcare lines to get through.
Above and beyond the percentage increase we had for 14 to begin with.
No, we didn't have much budgeted in. We didn't have the full 20% budgeted in into the current year's, enough to cover that for the current year's budget to begin with.
Are we gonna have, was it 8? I can't remember what we did, or 12.
We had budgeted an increase on the 5-year plan for the next year, but on the 13 line, the amount that we had to cover, it's only for 1 month, but it wasn't, it was less than 15.
Oh. So we have to add 113,600 to bring it up to 2,000.
There are other lines, by the way, that we have extra money on. If it went the other way, if you budgeted for an employee that had family coverage and then they left, and particularly if the departments that start early, I didn't ask you for reductions on those because it doesn't matter. At the end of December, those appropriations go away anyway. If I'd have given you those, that would balance this off some, but again, it makes no difference because 3 weeks from now, all these appropriations go away and we start over.
Move to approve.
Second?
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Finally, 13-239, amending ordinance 15413 of the advisors for the downtown strategic plan. Kimberly?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Earlier this year, through the Economic Development Committee, we started talking about the need for a downtown strategic plan. And some of those preliminary goals were prioritizing city and CIC efforts, advancing redevelopment sites, applying for the downtown revitalization grant, positioning Medina as premier historic entertainment district, and collective visioning to align organizations, which is the city, the chamber, and Main Street. When Greg Hannon was here, we had originally approached council for $40,000, and council had asked to reduce the scope of work and reduce the costs, to approach foundations for assistance with funding, and to engage other local community members and leaders to help with the scope of work, and also to help with some of that work that would not be bid out to the consultants. So through the Economic Development Committee, we formed a strategic steering committee. I think we had about 12 to 15 people. I believe Brian Hilberg was on that committee. And we reduced that scope of work, and we put that scope of work out to bid. We had 5 proposals received. We interviewed 2 of the companies, and the foundations, we had one foundation come through with $5,000. The other 2 we did not hear from. I did put in a couple calls, but did not hear back from Don Mitch at the bank. So with this council request, we are asking for to allocate the $5,000, or appropriate the $5,000 from Stevenson Foundation. That was split between planning and planning department, economic development department. Then we're requesting an additional $10,000, and also to authorize the mayor to enter into a professional services agreement with OHM Advisors. They're a company out of Columbus, and I also have members of our strategic steering committee and the selection committee. We asked Rick Dilsaver, who's a local resident and serves on the CIC board. Deborah's here from the chamber. Matt from Main Street. Katie and Julie from Interior Design Studios. Only one of the sisters are here though. But they were both on the steering committee and the interview committee. And then Matt is here, and Sandy's here, and then Jonathan served on the interview committee because he obviously recently just started. There it is.
Anybody from the committee want to add anything, or have any comments? Rick?
Yeah, I recently had the privilege of volunteering some of my time to solicit proposals from consultants, to interview those consultants, and make some recommendations. I can tell you that in this world you get what you pay for. The consultants are good. The one that we are recommending is exceptionally good. I happen to recognize several names within that company from my past experience, so I know that we're going to get a good product. And the issue becomes, you embark on an endeavor like this, you need a roadmap. You've got to have a roadmap to get from point A to point B. You got to begin with the end in mind. So getting the right roadmap, I think, is critically important. So I want to echo Kimberly's request for the extra dough, so we can get the right team on board to develop a plan, an action plan. And I'd like to say one other thing too. If one of my pet peeves is spending tax dollars. I was state and federal for a number of years. To create a report that goes in a binder that sits on a shelf and nobody reads it. I'd recommend we allocate the money, and then we actually do the stuff in the plan as quickly as possible to implement that plan as quickly as possible.
Deborah?
Well, I think in the interview that we did with OHM, it became very clear that this is not a study, this is a tool, and we talked about that at length, that it is going to give us tools that we can actually use. When you look at what's going on now, you've got Main Street with the Business Development Committee, you've got the Chamber looking at little pieces of this, you've got the city looking at little pieces, and this is something that's going to finally kind of align everything, get us all singing from the same hymnal, if you will. So it's something that we're all working towards together, and it's clearly defined, and it has the tools in place. And I think that's important at this point, because it is kind of piecemealed at the moment with people touching a variety of things. So.
Anybody else? Matt?
I was going to say that I had the privilege of sitting through both interviews, and OHM clearly came out on top for what they're proposing is going to be long-term transformative change and development around historic districts. build up kind of that no man's land between the business district and the neighborhoods. Hogemeyer had some great points and some great skills, but I think particularly having Mr. Dancher on the committee with OHM is really going to help us out a lot with development.
I was just gonna say, from the small business standpoint, we've seen a lot of change on the square and a lot of great change, and Main Street doing great programs and bringing people to the square. I think being on this committee and seeing how we can actually get actionable items that will bring other businesses in to kind of keep that ball rolling and keep the train moving and keep us focused and directed and know exactly what it is in certain areas that would be best for those areas to redevelop and what we should be going after, so that we just don't get another business that's in and out and done, but that they're long-term and the best output for the area is, I think, why this is so important.
And through request here, you already have 15,000, you're requesting additional 10, so I think the suggested funding below is already there. You're asking a suggested funding to be 5,000 instead of 7,500, because you already have. Is that right? Am I
We're
reading?
asking for 10,000. You already approved 15, and then we got 5 from Stevenson, so that gave us 20, and we need another 10.
But I mean, you have listed here, I think you want the, correct me if I'm wrong, the additional money, which would not be 7,500 under the below, you're gonna want those 5,000 from each of those accounts, from those account numbers.
Yes.
Is that right?
You're correct.
You got that?
Right.
And Kimberly, just so you know, I know today Beckley's scheduled for the 20th, so even though we might approve 10 today, we could have, by December 20th, we could have another 5,000 from
Yeah,
Beckley.
and that's the other thing too, is I haven't given up complete hope on the other 2 foundations. But, and if we get that 10,000, then I like to take that 10 and put it back. So it's just that, you know, where we are in the process, I don't wanna hold this up any longer, waiting for them. The other thing is, we are requesting the emergency clause, and what I've been telling everybody is that what's driving the timeline is the application to the state for the downtown revitalization grant is in June. However, it's not what is, to me, is what is the most important. The most important is getting the strategic plan in place for moving Medina forward, for the redevelopment of the sites and stuff. But because of this grant, that's why we're asking for the emergency clause, so that we can bring this consultant on right away. And they did say that they can get the plan completed in a time frame that we need, so.
And the 2 foundations, Stevenson meets more often. Beckley has not met since the original request came through council. It will have its first meeting on December 20th. I'm not sure about Letha House. I haven't said on that one. But I know it doesn't meet that often either.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
I just want to make a comment. I don't know if it's been a year or so. I know we've talked about some big projects or big potentials in the uptown area, and it was brought up of having something in place, whether it's called a tool, a plan, or, I know it's not a study because I don't like it as much as the others, but I appreciate you guys putting something together and moving something forward. I feel $30,000 is a lot of money, but, you know, from the information gathered here, that it seems that the wheels will be turning quickly, and we will see some results instead of the bookshelf projects that we talked about. So we spent a lot of money and committed a lot of money to the uptown area. I think this is money well spent, so I will support it.
Move to approve with the emergency clause.
Second, including the emergency clause?
And that's what's amending the $7,500 amount here to 5,000 to show
Correct.
that additional appropriation. Any further questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Well, now we're at the end of the agenda, and the Christmas season is upon us. So I guess what we could do is we could recess into executive session and do that now, unless people want to wait till after council to do that.
No, let's do it.
I have a poem that I wrote
Did you?
to the tune of just 90.
Are you gonna do that at the council?
I might do it.
Okay, so.
I'm still working on it.
I will make a motion to enter the executive session at 6:51 PM for the purpose of preparing for, conducting, or reviewing negotiations or bargaining sessions with employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment.
Second.
We will recess into executive session. We will return to adjourn from the meeting. We'll not take any action, so would the clerk please call the roll?
Can we go to the mayor's office?
Yeah, we'll go to the mayor's office since
Lamb.
we got photography equipment.
Yes.
Middleburg.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Point.
Yes.
Yes.
Rhodes.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, thank you.